Publications call for the US to drop Assange charges. Watch this.
What is happening is not simply an increasing tendency towards authoritarianism in the West. There is a desire and a method being erected for the United States, principally, to engage in an extraterritorial land grab through the abuse of law, where it is attempting to apply its jurisdiction to all countries in the world, to reach into other countries and destroy their sovereignty by demanding that its laws apply to their territory.
That was WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who was charged by the US government for allegedly hacking into government computers in 2010. Major news publications are now rallying to implore the United States to drop all charges against Assange. Check out this headline. Major news outlets urge US to drop its charges against Assange. In a joint letter, news organizations warned that the indictment of Julian Assange, quote, sets a dangerous precedent, end quote, that could chill reporting about matters of national security. And that report is coming from the New York Times. Let's put up a list of the publications that are out there saying, hey, this is wrong, don't do this to him. And we can see each and every one of those publications, good on them. And here are key quotes from the letter titled, "Publishing is Not a Crime." Cablegate, a set of 251,000 confidential cables from the US State Department disclosed corruption, diplomatic scandals, and spy affairs on an international scale. In the words of the New York Times, the documents told the unvarnished story of how the government makes its biggest decisions, the decisions that cost the country most heavily in lives and money. Even now in 2020, journalists and historians continue to publish new revelations using the unique trove of documents. And I really think that this is a really great development for not just Julian Assange, but for all reporters and researchers across the board. And I'm really glad to see it.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see some of the most well-respected, honestly, I respect most of these publications more than the New York Times, but some of the most well-respected publications around the world in multiple different countries, rather, kind of signing on to this and showing the importance, because these publications, while they are also ridiculed or like hated by, and I'm talking about a pure like, we have their opinions about them outside of the media, but as far as inside the government, there are people who say, oh, we hate when they leak these things about us. We hate when they talk about us. But in reality, the government really needs these papers to focus and work and really, disseminate the messages that they want. So these papers play an important role to the government as well. So it's really good that this is the right audience for the people who might make the better decision to not set a dangerous precedent with Assange.
Yeah, so true. And on April the 11th, 2019, Assange was arrested. So walking people back down memory lane, was arrested in London on a US arrest warrant and has now been held for 3.5 years in a high security British prison, usually used for terrorists and members of organized crime groups. He faces extradition to the US and a sentence of up to 175 years in an American maximum security prison. Makes no sense at all. This indictment sets a dangerous precedent and threatens to undermine America's First Amendment and the freedom of the press. Obtaining and disclosing sensitive information when necessary in the public's interest is a core part of the daily work of journalists. If that work is criminalized, our public discourse and our democracies are made significantly weaker. So true. And as you laid out, Dan, it is good that the world is really sounding the alarm about what is happening to Julian Assange. And Brazil President-elect Lula backs Assange as well. And so I want to close this story with a reminder from Assange in 2011. Watch this.
A cable gate for the CIA, we need a cable gate for the SVR, we need a cable gate of the New York Times, actually. All the stories that have been suppressed and how they've been managed. And once we start getting that sort of volume and concretize and protect the rights of everyone to communicate with one another, which to me is the basic ingredient of civilized life. It is not the right to speak. What does it mean to have the right to speak if you're on the moon and there's no one around? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, he spoke the truth there. So let's hope that the engagement of media outlets all over the world will help to change the situation for Julian Assange. We will stay on top of this story.